What's up everybody, No Lidich here, and I'm coming to you from McComb, Mississippi. I'm out here at the Railroad Museum because McComb was built around the railroad industry and I wanted to come check this out. So let's go inside, let's go check out these trains. Come join me. Just next to this Illinois Central logo is this old steam locomotive, the 2542. Check out this old sanding tower they have here. This is not the original location for it. It was actually moved here for the museum. And here it is, the McComb Railroad Museum. Let's go inside. Here's a little info about the steam locomotive outside. This is the Illinois Central locomotive 2542. And it's the last Illinois Central steam locomotive to move on the main line of Mid-America. This is Colonel Henry Simpson McComb, and he actually moved the railroad industry from New Orleans and Jackson, Mississippi to here. And on April 5th, 1872, McComb, Mississippi was chartered as an incorporated city. There were quite a few things that went into the decision to establish McComb, but one of the things that I find kind of funny is that Colonel McComb was concerned over the bad influence that New Orleans had on railroad workers. So he moved operations here and started the city. And now there is a McComb Railroad Museum where you can come here and learn about the history of this place. This is really cool. This shows some of the stations and routes for the railroads dating back to 1866. You see New Orleans and Kenner, Ponchatoula, Hammond, which has an S at the end. That's interesting. There are a lot of really cool pictures attached to this map of this area. Pictures showing what it used to be like here back in the day. Long time ago. That's the old roundabout that's outside. You would have seen this or what's left of it in my previous video. I'll put a link down below. That is the coal chute that is outside, also in my previous video. Right there. Very historic coal chute. And there's the sand tower that we just saw outside. Right there. A lot of old, really interesting artifacts sitting in this museum. These old lights that were carried by some of the railroad workers. And really cool old pictures of some of the locomotives that used to operate around here. It's like some old tickets, train tickets here. Fernwood, Mississippi, Tylertown, Mississippi, Kokomo. There's a Kokomo, Mississippi? Didn't know that. Check out these old railroad spikes. Didn't know there was such a thing. I knew there was track spikes, but I didn't know anything about a bridge spike. That's cool. Look at that massive one. What's that? Coupling pin. Got a little piece of the railroad line here as a doorstop in the Railroad Museum. That is cool. Here's a good shot of the entire museum. And this museum actually started off as just a few artifacts that somebody had collected, and it has turned into a really nice museum. Oh, that is a whistle right there. That is the FC&G Railroad horizontal whistle. Imagine how loud that thing is. Whoop, whoop. Some old Illinois Central gear here, this old mail bag. Mail handler's face shield. You needed a face shield to handle the mail? Huh. Check out the Illinois Central stained glass there. That's neat. You got the old caboose lamp there. It looks like just a regular little table lamp. Got these really cool old locomotive bells sitting in this cabinet here. But check out this one on the left. This one on the left is from a destroyed wreck from Alligator, Mississippi. This is a picture from some old McComb railroad shops from 1903. This is what the area looked like almost 120 years ago. This gentleman is Simeon Taylor Webb. He was born in McComb, and he was a fireman on Casey Jones's fatal run. Casey shouted, "Jump, Sim, jump," seconds before the Illinois Central's Cannonball Express plowed into the rear of a freight train on the night of April 30th, 1900. And he received a settlement of $5 from the Illinois Central Railroad for the bruises that he got by jumping off engine 382. Check this out. You don't see too many of these. A scissors phone extender. A phone would be placed on the end of this thing, and you can extend it out so you can reach it from wherever it's mounted. And there you go. There's one right there on the wall with a phone attached. In 1911, the McComb Railroad workers had a strike, and unfortunately they lost. However, 11 years later, through an act of Congress, the railroads were forced to recognize the union that they had actually tried to stop. This guy here is wearing an Amtrak conductor's uniform, but I think he's napping. I don't think he's ready to take anybody on the train at the moment. Check out this old phone. These phones were battery operated because they were on the train and there was no way else to power them, so they had to run off these old Western Electric batteries. This little section shows a bunch of different types of locks that were used, I guess at different stations, and the keys that went with them. And just next to it are these old steam gauges. Check these out, man. They look like they're in good shape too. I bet you they still work. These guys posing in front of their McComb shop, all for the importance of safety. This is stressing the importance of synchronizing clocks and watches for the railroads. And here is Charles McKnight's pocket watch. He was a roundhouse car inspector foreman. So in the back of this museum here is this enclosed model railroad that is set up to resemble the tracks and areas around here in McComb. Let's go in for a closer look. And if you look here, here's the bridge that in my last video we walk under. But right here, this is where the museum is, this old depot. And in my last video, this whole area, this building here is what I explored. It's abandoned now, this old grocery building. And if we come over here, there's the old roundhouse, or what's left of it at least. Check that out, man. Also in my last video, you'll notice that I explore an old concrete coal chute. But this is the original one. It was actually made out of wood, but it burned in 1947. And after it burned, they rebuilt it out of concrete, except it was only used a few months because diesel replaced coal as fuel. And so it is now just a monument. Check out this old car that is fitted to ride along the railroad tracks. Check that out, man. That is awesome. Kind of reminds me of Back to the Future Part 3 when they put the wheels on the DeLorean. But this is the Illinois Central Railroad superintendent back in the 40s. Look at all these steam whistles that are in here. I love these things. I love the sound of a steam whistle. For passenger trains, this was some of the silverware in China used for people to sit down and eat and have their dinner or their lunch or whatever. And some other Illinois Central swag. A ticket hole puncher, some matches, and even a chef's jacket. Check out this old coal burning stove. This was used in a caboose. This would be in the rear of the train in the caboose. You would put the coal in there and you can burn it and I guess cook some food or whatever you needed to heat something up with. Horn 1 short, horn 2 short. That's awesome. In 1987, there was this massive wreck which put an end to the rail yard turntable, the roundhouse outside. Check out these old flares that are sticking up here. I thought this was dynamite sticks at first, but on closer inspection, they are just railroad flares, but very flammable apparently. I would assume they don't work anymore. Check that out. Danger. Extremely flammable. What a cool place this is. You really need to come check this place out. This is awesome. A lot of history here. I did not show everything. There's plenty more to see. Here are some pictures of what this was before it turned into the museum that it is today. This is just a collection of artifacts from the railroad industry in McComb. I like this old railroad crossing sign they've got on the wall in here. In the gift shop next door, they've got all these old model trains on display. All kinds of different railroad cars and engines and whatever. I love model railroads. Alright, we're going to take a walk outside and go get a closer look at that steam locomotive that's out there. But here, all the railroad tracks still in use today. If you look down that way, that is the old coal chute. And straight ahead there is what's left of the roundhouse that is no longer there. And here it is, the Illinois Central 2542. Beautiful steam locomotive. I wonder if they could actually get this thing up and running again one day. Would be cool to see this thing in action. Rotating the wheels one last time. Pushing the steam out. There's an old Illinois Central passenger car here. Bet this thing has a lot of stories to tell. I'm sure quite a few people sat in those chairs at those windows, traveling through parts of the country. Here's an Illinois Central mail car here. And there's the caboose sitting at the end here. This thing is in really nice shape. I'm surprised how clean it is, considering it is out in the open. They definitely take very good care of this thing. We're going to go up here and see what we see in that window. I have actually never in my life been on a caboose. Ooh, full release.
Maybe I am thinking of that.
I don't know if that would be a good thing or not. The hand wheel off or on. Doesn't seem to be operational either way. Alright, let's see what's in here. Oh, cool. Wow. That is in pristine shape. Look at that. That's beautiful. I wish we could go inside there. There's this old crane sitting on the tracks behind the caboose. The crane itself looks like it's freshly painted, but the wood that it is, or some of it is sitting on, looks really, really old. Like some of the pieces of wood are fine, but check this out. Look how old these slats of wood look. I'd love to know the age of this. Yeah, this is definitely pretty old. Now here's an old fire pump. Check this out. I'm not entirely sure what this is. I don't know. Do you know what that is? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, well that's going to do it for me from out here at the McComb Mississippi Railroad Museum. This place is awesome. There's a lot of history here, a lot of good stuff to see. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed a little lanyap from this Houdat. Go pass a good time.